history of the WWE, the custody of a child will be determined in a match.
Hooray! Toronto!
Oh, I knew he was going to do that.
Hulk Hogan is a jabroni Hollywood blonde, but my boss, Mr. McMahon, is not jabroni. Let's get a horse a time, fool.
Put that cigarette out. Will you stop?
Woo!
What is up, Drunk Marks? Welcome to another episode of Drunk Wrestling History. I am your designated host. My name is Adam. And who the hell are you two?
This is Eddie. Woozle wuzzle.
And this is Scott. Drinking is my business, and business is good.
Awesome. And to keep the business going tonight, I see that you now have a few refills. What do we got tonight?
I'm drinking, I forget what the actual name of the beer is called, but it's a Belgian ale. It's made by Unibrow. I think it's pronounced Unibrow. That my friend Elsa gave me for Christmas. It's fucking killer. It's really good. I wish I could remember the name of it, but it's a Belgian ale made by Unibrow.
And I am sticking with Peach Crown with a Sprite Chaser. It's not as bad as you think.
Okay.
It's really tasty. Very tasty, and it's doing its job.
Yeah.
And I've got my Scottish soda, Iron Brew, orange soda with a bubblegum aftertaste. It is very sweet and really good. For tonight's episode, or today's episode, today, however you want to do it. But we have to go back to the year of our Lord, 1995. Tonight we are going over Wrestlemania 11, taking place in Hartford, Connecticut. Very loaded card here. I thought in some ways I think it lived up to the hype that a mid-90s Mania can push to, especially with the celebrity involvement in the main event. I thought it was pretty entertaining. What do you guys have to say about it?
Well, I guess that's all you could say about it. It definitely had celebrity involvement. But overall, and it's funny, you did a poll, Ed, on Twitter.
Yes, I did.
Where you asked the worst WrestleMania. And it was 15, 11, and 9. And 11 won, correct?
It got like 57% of the vote.
Which is why we're doing this podcast.
Right.
Do we agree that it's the worst? Or do we disagree that there are worse WrestleManias?
This, at the time, was my pick for the worst one.
Okay.
But I hadn't watched it in a long time, and I was like, I didn't think 15 was. Just based on the main event alone. Like, to me, that was enough to not make it the worst.
That was my pick. My pick was 15.
Right.
I've knocked 15
That's
for
ridiculous.
Years.
9, without watching them back, 11 was the worst. 9 was in the ballpark.
Okay.
Right? Like, I was pretty sure 11 was the worst, but I couldn't say for sure without watching that 9 wasn't the worst. I went back and watched 11, did not watch 9. There's no way 9's as bad as 11.
I agree with you. And my opinion has actually changed. All these years later, 15 is no longer the worst WrestleMania.
Right.
It is 11.
This
Easily
shit was
11.
This was a total fucking disaster.
It was like it was their first WrestleMania. Like
Right.
They were just trying because there were so many miscues. I mean, right off the bat, America the Beautiful. Vince comes over the PA at the very last second. Oh, here's somebody from the Special Olympics with America the Beautiful.
Right, and like they botched that. It was really weird, and and then you couldn't hear her at first, and
Yeah.
then it was like, I don't know. We're probably going to lose followers for this or listeners for this, but it was like a Special Olympics girl, and like I don't know what was wrong with her. I think maybe she was blind because her eyes were weird.
Appeared she was blind,
but
yes.
maybe she was like, But I mean, I don't know what her deal was. I don't know what was wrong with her, but the singing was holy shit. I mean, it was like opera style, but it wasn't even really good opera style, and it was just.
Well, I can clearly say that I couldn't do better. There's
no
way I could do better. I don't think anybody in this room could do better.
Well, Adam probably could.
No, I can't.
It was just fucking weird. It was just like,
well, the miscue, that was almost a taste of things to come in terms of miscues.
Right off the bat. Even I spotted that. Yeah.
And it was a lot of audio stuff, right? Like they'd go to cut backstage to interviews from Nick Turturro from NYPD Blue fame.
Yeah, we'll
just
get
to
to
touch
that.
on Adam's celebrities thing.
We'll get to that, but just as a teaser.
Yeah, and then a 1, 2, 3 Kid and Razor interview backstage that the audio wasn't working on properly.
Okay.
It was like, what are you guys? Is this your first WrestleMania? You're just starting out? Like, are you a rookie podcast? Like, what's your guys' deal here? Why so many issues? This is WrestleMania 11. Come on.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Yeah, just weird right off the jump.
You guys should be good at this point.
Yeah, exactly. You've had 10 of these under your belt.
Right.
Why is 11 suddenly this weird outlier that you don't know what the fuck you're doing? Very strange.
I don't know.
Very strange.
And they've even done bigger venues than this one. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, they're going to do a bigger venue than this one tomorrow night, probably.
Yeah.
Right? So this was in...
I mean, just WrestleManias that have preceded this one. I mean, they have done bigger. They know the magnitude of it.
Yeah, they did the Sky Dome, and that one went off flawless.
It had nothing to do with any of that. Like, there are no excuses for, like, the problems with it, really.
Right.
You know what I mean? They were doing nothing new. You know, like, nothing about this was groundbreaking. Nothing was something untested.
And you could tell Vince was getting pissed, too.
Oh.
Like, if you're listening to the commentary, he's busting out his face, or his fake laugh.
Yeah.
Like, you know he's fuming underneath that, dude. Like, he can't wait to get backstage and fire, like, 3 people.
I wish he would have fired Kevin Dunn back then.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
I also, I mean, I would have to go back and check this out, but I would assume that it wasn't common for the entire outside ring to be just loaded with paparazzi.
Absolutely, yeah.
That was just like overly crowded. It was
Yes.
distracting me the entire time watching this.
That was one of the first things I noticed when I went back and watched it, and that was because LT.
Yes,
And
exactly.
then they're in everyone's way. Like, nobody went out of the ring until I think Sean,
Right.
right? It was just bizarre.
And even LT running to the ring had to, like, run around paparazzi. You're like,
Yeah.
what the hell's going on here? Like, this is just bizarre.
Yeah, it was a shit show.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, it was the drunk podcast equivalent of a WrestleMania.
Exactly. Thank you.
I think I said that in reverse, but you get it.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Yeah,
So it's a drunk way of putting it.
thank you.
So in other words, we now have to go set up a WrestleMania is what you're saying.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll bring the chips.
All right.
All right. So, starting off the night, we have the Allied Powers unified between Lex Luger and the British Bulldog in red, white, and blue, representing their home countries, versus the Blue Brothers.
The Allied Power should have been a bigger deal, right?
No.
Okay, so you don't think so. I think that they should have been. That's 2 huge single stars, which, let's not forget, WWF, WWE made a template of that moving forward where they would just stick 2 big singles guys together and have them win the tag team championship.
Right.
This almost seemed like a precursor to that. Like, they could have been a bigger deal. These were 2 of the biggest single stars in the company being mashed together, the red, white, and blue from the UK and the US.
Yeah, but I
thought
think
there
it
would be
was
a bigger deal.
Right, but so this is a year after 10, right? Which would have been Luger's biggest match.
Right.
Whatever it was about Luger just wasn't working.
Right,
So
Vince
I
didn't
think
see it.
So Vince didn't see it. I didn't see it. I don't think the crowd saw it. And I think at this point, it might have been a situation where they had Luger locked in to a contract. So
Yeah.
they were just going to, well, we're paying him anyway. Let's use him. And what
Run out
else are
the
we going to
string.
do with him?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they put him with Bulldog. And it was fine. They were fine. Luger, I don't know. I don't really have I don't even know what to say about him. The match was okay. It was kind of, no, the match sucked.
Yeah, it definitely set the tone for what WrestleMania 11 was going to be, but the Blue Brothers went on to bigger and better things.
They were the DOA?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's kind of a trip? And I actually, maybe I should go watch. DOA wrestled in vests too, right?
Correct.
Yeah. The story I've heard is both those guys wore, because they were vests as the Blue Brothers, or wore vests. I heard they had a bunch of like Nazi tattoos.
Oh, you're kidding.
Which is hilarious that they were wrestling the Allied powers.
Oh,
That's
wow.
I don't know if that's true, but that's the story I've heard.
Oh, wow. Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know, maybe someone out there could tweet us and tell us if we're right or wrong, but I've heard that.
Well, the crazy part is this is Dutch Mantel's debut at a WrestleMania, and he would come back years later as Cesaro and Jack Swagger's manager.
Right, back then he was called Zebekiah.
And
he came back as
Uncle
Zeb.
Zebekiah.
Uncle
yeah.
Zeb.
Zeb Coulter.
Zeb
Yeah.
Coulter, right.
Yeah, and I kind of forgot that he was called Zebekiah back then, and I was like, oh yeah, when he came back it was like a shortened version of the name. I sort of forgot that.
Yep.
So yeah, that was kind of... interesting.
But again, all forgettable elements. And it was just a precursor of what this WrestleMania was all about.
Right. And then I think, like what you were saying earlier about like all the technical issues, I think this was the first one. I think after the match, JR was doing the like ambush interviews up the ramp.
Yes.
And he ambushes Zebekiah, and there's no light on him. He's interviewing him in the goddamn dark.
Yeah, the dark. Yeah.
Right? And you can't even see that he's wearing those stupid ass, and I tweeted a picture of these recently while I was watching it, those stupid ass headphones. They look like Walkman headphones you would have had back then.
Yep.
And I don't know why he was wearing those. Not everyone wore them. Some of them did and some of them didn't. I think Nick Turturro didn't, but Pettengill did.
Yeah,
I don't know.
he did.
I think they were trying out something new, like they wanted to look modern or some fucking thing.
It failed so hard.
Exactly. It was a disaster. And you couldn't even see. It was so dark you couldn't even see he had those stupid ass headphones on. It was ridiculous.
Yep.
Following that, we have Razor Ramon with the 1-2-3 Kid taking on Jeff Jarrett, who is accompanied by the Roadie. Interesting lead up to what would be another future tag team with those guests escorting them up. And this was a match for the Intercontinental title, which did not end as a WrestleMania match should, with a disqualification.
Agreed. Good match, though. I thought it was a solid match. I mean, look, Razor and Jeff Jarrett are going to put on a hell of a match,
right,
no matter what kind of stipulation you put into it. WrestleMania, house show, whatever it might be. But, dude, what a bad finish. Like, to Adam's point, you should not have a WrestleMania match ending in a disqualification. Like, WrestleMania, to me, should end a feud. Like, that's where the big payoff is, and then you start off fresh the night after. But that was not the case in this match. They continued to carry it forward to future pay-per-views.
Right. I think it's okay for not... I don't necessarily agree that it should end a feud. I think there have been some good ones that didn't end a feud, right? Like there was Triple H and Batista at 21.
Okay.
That was their first match, and
It was their first match,
and they went two more, but it had a regular finish.
Hardy Boys against each other. They went on to Extreme Rules for a few of them. But...
Yeah, so in certain situations, it's definitely okay to keep the feud going on. I think you're right. For the most part, that should be the end of it, and everybody
because
moves
these
on.
guys wrestled at Royal Rumble.
Right.
So this should have been kind of the payoff,
in this situation,
and then new feuds after WrestleMania.
Right. But like you said, it was a good match. It was actually a really good match. It was a little goofy. This is when 1-2-3 Kid was doing the like Chinese clothes. Remember, he was like in the robe and shit with like dragons on it or something.
I thought he looked like a character out of The Last Dragon.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
he was
like he had the glow.
Right, he was like that girl that wore the Chinese wedding dress to her prom. Like he was appropriating Chinese culture.
Yeah. I'm like, as soon as he came out, I'm like, what the hell is he wearing?
I totally forgot he had even done that, and it just looked goofy. And he was like,
it was silly,
right,
yeah.
he was like a kung fu master. At the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it was a good match. It was a really good match. It was. This is one of those rare WrestleManias that peaks early, like in the second match. To me, this was the best match of the show.
Yes.
And exactly, had a terrible finish. Jarrett was great, as always. Razor was great, as always. Like, exactly like you said, those two are always going to have a good match.
Yeah, you knew it was going to be good.
Right. Great talent, both of them. One thing I did notice, if anyone watches... if anyone listens to this and isn't disgusted by this pay-per-view and wants to go back and watch it, one thing I noticed that was really weird, I don't know if you caught this, but there were two chicks. They were across from the camera, right? So when you're looking at hard camera, they're right across from the ring where like a green fucking t-shirt guy sits.
Okay.
And there was a aisle that came down in the middle of the section, which you don't really see a lot of. Almost no arenas are like that, but this one was, because it was like not even in a real arena. It was in a fucking convention center.
Right.
And it looked like they worked there. They were in like business casual clothes, like they worked at the arena, and they came down to the front row and sat down on the steps and are like waving at the camera, like trying to get themselves over. But like, I swear they did not look like they bought a ticket. They didn't look like wrestling fans.
I didn't notice that at all.
See,
wow.
I'm constantly distracted by the damn crowd.
Okay.
A lot of times I'm like, there are times on Raw where I'm like not even watching the match. I'm looking, especially if it's like I don't know, like Rowan or something.
Right.
And I'm looking
Mojo.
at what's going on out in the crowd.
Okay.
And this was one where I was trying to watch the match, but I got distracted by them. And they were there for a while. They were there into the next match. It was just really weird. But it was, overall, I really liked the match a lot. It was like a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, no, it totally
if you
was.
will.
Yeah, the lone bright spot, really. Because even the match that you thought would overtake that one, which would have been Diesel and Shawn Michaels, didn't measure up. Like, these guys, I mean, for what it's worth, was match of the night.
Yeah.
But the finish was awful. Rhodey coming in, Rhodey coming in, clipping Razor Ramon's leg again, which he had done at the Royal Rumble. Was like, come on, guys.
This is the one
like,
that had
there should have been a payoff here.
Was this the one that had the pull apart?
After the match, the four guys went at it. Yeah.
And Danny Davis came out, and I was surprised that Danny Davis was still there.
Yeah.
Danny Davis was there a long time.
He really was.
And I think Pat Patterson might have come out, and he was wearing a suit and, like, Keds.
Oh. So he hadn't changed into his referee outfit yet.
No. Right. Or maybe I'm thinking of a different match. I forget, but one of the matches I just watched recently, Patterson came out to break up a brawl.
He's wearing Keds.
He was wearing, like, I think they were, like, Keds. Like, like maybe he lost his, like, regular shoes and had to stop at Payless and pick up a pair of Keds.
White
I don't
people,
know.
dude, I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, and then so after this, we got into like a Vance White at WrestleMania 4 situation where Pam Anderson is missing, right?
Exactly.
And I think maybe even before this, there was a part where they cut to Nick Turturro backstage.
It was before this, yes.
And you couldn't hear his ass.
Yep. And he was looking for Pam Anderson.
Yeah. Right,
Yeah.
and then his mic kind of cuts in where he's looking for Pam Anderson, but you didn't really get what was going on because of the audio issues. Then after the match, they basically came back and shot the same thing.
Yep.
They now why they didn't pre-tape that, I have no idea. There was no reason they couldn't have pre-taped that.
Exactly.
But they didn't, so then they go back and do it again, and then you're like, okay, I did kind of half-ass here that Pam Anderson is missing, a la Vance White.
Yeah, but again, is this your first WrestleMania?
I don't know.
Like, come on, guys. Again, like you said, there's no reason you couldn't have pre-taped that to prevent that kind of crap from happening. But then even before this match, you get the audio issues backstage with 1-2-3 Kid and Razor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on,
It was weird.
Yeah, you got to be better than that.
Right.
It's WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Even if you're supposed to like roll with whatever mess ups, acknowledge that there was some kind of mess up, at least progress the story a little bit, show a little concern that
Vince kind of did.
Yeah, I mean, it was minimally there, but to everyone else that was backstage, I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
It was silly.
Yeah, it was way goofy. Yeah, I was waiting for Vince to get up and just mark his ass backstage and be like, you all are fired, dude. Like, get new audio people in your stat.
You're fired!
Yeah. There it is. All right. Following that, we would have what would turn out to be number 4 on the famous streak, Undertaker versus King Kong Bundy.
It was about as good as you would expect.
No, it was worse. It was bad.
It did not have an epic finish.
No.
I mean, even though it was already being acknowledged and pushed that it's a fantastic streak that he has, definitely didn't finish the way I think an Undertaker match should.
Well, but back then, there was no streak yet. Because like you said, this was only his 4th match. I don't remember them mentioning the streak until at least 18 when he was 10-0.
I believe Vince was, or I think there was some kind of mention in there. I mean, or it may have been like a minimal point out that he hasn't lost yet. Maybe just not mentioned as the streak per se, but still like an acknowledgement that he performs this well at the biggest stage.
Okay. Well, then that made Bundy 0-2 at WrestleMania, right?
Right, exactly.
Watching this match, I was like, Bundy was just big. Like, Bundy wasn't actually really that great. You know, like, there are those guys who are big and can move. Even like Gang, to an extent. Or, like we talked about earlier, Bam Bam.
Yeah.
Bundy wasn't one of those guys. He was just a big fuck.
Yep.
He didn't really do much. He kind of was just there. At one point, there was like a... Well, I think Kama came out and jacked Paul Bearer for the urn.
Correct, because he was going to melt it into a necklace.
Yeah, and I'm watching, and I'm like, I think they're having a fight over the urn during the match because nobody cares about this match.
Nobody cared about the match.
And then, I don't remember this ever happening before or since. Jim Ross interviews Kama up the ramp. Now the spotlight works.
Yeah.
While the match is going on.
Yeah.
So now, if you're in the arena, now your focus is over on the ramp because now the spotlight works. And on TV, it's just zoomed in on them.
Right. While the match is going on.
Yeah. And I was like, what a joke-ass way to treat a match. But I guess it kind of was a joke. And I guess Bundy was kind of the only guy who you might, even though his credentials were trash, but at least he was bigger than Undertaker. You know, you might think he has a shot at beating the Undertaker. Because even though he wasn't having a streak yet, he's been built for the last few years as like unstoppable.
Right. Well, it's kind of a weird match for Bundy, right? Like he main evented 2, he main evented 3, And then here he is at 11.
Bundy didn't main event 3.
We did.
Oh, yeah, he did main event 3. You're right.
yes,
You're
he
right.
did.
Sorry.
In the midget match.
Yes, right. You can hear all about that on
The
Drunk
WrestleMania
Wrestling
3
History Presents WrestleMania 3.
Correct. So now he's in this match, and you're right. It wasn't great. Undertaker finished him off with a clothesline.
A clothesline?
Yeah, it wasn't even a tombstone or anything. It was just a flying
Choke
clothesline.
slam.
Yeah, it was just, okay. Moving on.
Yeah, so in between that and the next match is when the first time you see Turturro, or not the first time you see Turturro, but you see Turturro again, and I did notice that's when I first noticed he had the IBF instead of that stupid ass headset.
Right.
That's when he interviews all the football guys, right?
Oh, yes.
And one of them, it might have been Mongo McMichael, called Tatanka a cigar store Indian. Which I don't even know what that means. You know what I mean? Like, it's like... I'm not sure if that... I mean, I guess it's insulting.
I would guess it would be.
But I was like, is he just calling him boring? You know what I mean? I don't know what that was. That was... I mean, obviously that would never happen now, but that was just...
Oh, maybe that's the line that got him hired by WCW.
Right,
because
right.
in WCW's great talent rate of the WWF,
Yeah.
they took Hogan, Hall, Nash, Macho Man, and fucking Mongo. Have fun with that one.
Yeah, right. And then they cut from there to, which is like one of the weirdest segments of the whole show, is Bob Backlund
Oh, God.
in a robe, in a dimly lit room, playing chess with the kid from Home Improvement.
The kid.
The kid, he's like 9,
9, yeah.
and he's in a room with Bob.
It was weird how zen-like he was in, and then the interview takes place and then just goes off. That was a weird transition.
It was really weird, and I was like, what's going on in there? Like,
It was truly creepy as fuck.
yeah, it was like very pedophilia-ish.
Yes.
Like, I didn't really... It was just an odd thing. Like Backlund's in there just... He's not fully dressed. He just has a robe on. You don't know what's under the robe, but he's in there with a 9-year-old.
Yeah, right.
Like a really cute 9-year-old. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I mean, hey,
Well, I mean,
whatever.
you've seen this kid.
Wait.
JT,
I don't know.
he's gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, look. I mean, like Macaulay Culkin said this kid is cute. You know? It was really weird and
Yes.
just odd and kind of a little...
Off-putting.
It may be... Yeah, it was unsettling.
Unsettling. Great
Yeah.
word for it, yes.
Right.
And then he berates him for being smart.
Right.
Like, that was Backlund's shtick, I
Yeah.
guess. Just, but yeah, the whole setting of it was just really weird.
Yeah.
Guess it's a good thing the audio was working for that segment.
Yeah, because I wanted to hear every gem out of Bob
gem.
Backlund's mouth.
Yes.
All right. Owen Hart and Yokozuna, accompanied by Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette, taking on the Smoking Guns.
And that was cool because Yokozuna was a mystery partner. Like, you didn't know who Owen was going to be teaming up with when he faced the Smoking Guns. And then he finally let loose right before the match, and Lawler was like, I know who his partner is. And then Owen introduced Joker. You're like, oh, dude.
Totally forgot about
Like,
that.
there's a chance that the Smoking Guns might lose their titles here.
Right,
And
right.
sure enough, they did. But,
Yeah.
dude, Yoko was as big as I've ever seen him.
That
in
was the
this
first
match.
thing. Yeah, that was the first note I have. The first thing I noticed was I didn't notice it when he was walking down to the ring.
Right.
But when he got up there and took his robe off, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I'm
Because
sure.
he had been away for a minute.
Yeah, and I think maybe at the time, like, even though he'd been away for a minute, like, he wasn't that much bigger than when he left. You know,
Yeah.
like when someone gets fatter, but you see him every day.
Right. Yeah, you don't notice it. Yeah.
Right, but then you go back, you know, however many years, at 20-something years, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, shit. Like, Yoko was huge.
Yeah, and blown up.
Yeah, and I kind of was like, as soon as I saw him, I was like, I wonder if that's why they put him in a tag match, because he couldn't
Yeah.
do a match on his own, and
Yeah.
within minutes, you figured out that was what was going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, after this, after he had his tag title run and then went into a singles run a little bit, he did have a few more matches, but his glory days were long gone, even by this point.
Right.
Because really, Owen was carrying that team.
Yeah,
It was-
yeah.
Owen was it was almost like when Haku and Andre teamed up. And you knew Haku was doing
Andre's,
the leg work in that match. It was not Andre. It was absolutely Haku. Same for Owen and Yoko.
Right.
Owen was doing all of the work in this. Yoko was brought in as like the big man element. But, oh man, he was just... He's as big as I ever saw him during his career in that match.
There was one part where Owen was working over one of the guns. Yoko got in the ring to distract the referee. Referee yells at him. Oh, Yoko gets back out, and he's hanging on the top rope. All he
Yeah.
did was get in the ring and out of the ring. He walked, I mean, what is that, 2 feet? Lifted
Yeah.
his leg.
Yeah.
and ducked, and he was blown up like the World Trade Center.
Right.
It was unbelievable. Like he
Right.
just could not catch his breath.
Yeah.
And then he got in later, and so when he tagged in, I was like, okay, what are they going to do now? He tagged in, and he punched one of the guns. Gun goes down, and immediately Owen was getting fucked up. Immediately, Owen's on the floor fighting the other one, and the camera goes straight outside of them because Yoko couldn't do anything. He threw a punch and had to lean on the rope.
Yeah.
And then he stayed in the ring the rest of the match. He hit the bonsai drop, and I don't know if he couldn't roll over to tag the dude or what, to pin the dude, but he went and tagged out, and then Owen came and finished it. At one point, I think he accidentally got hit with a missile drop kick by Owen, and he sold it like it was an actual missile that hit him. Like he couldn't move. Like it was like, I was like, oh my God, I think killed Yokozuna. It was crazy. And then after they won, he was just standing, and he didn't do anything the whole time he was in there. And he's leaning over the rope, facing the hard camera.
Yeah.
Just holding himself up, like completely out of breath. It was actually kind of sad.
It really was,
know?
dude. Yeah, because you knew he was a beast.
Yeah.
Like, especially looking at him at WrestleMania 9, WrestleMania 10, and here he is at 11, just a totally different animal, dude. And
Right.
It was hard to watch him kind of start to go downhill from there.
Right. Yeah, he used to be like, he'd do that spot where he'd throw you in the corner, charge at you, and hit you, from like behind, like spin around and hit you with his ass.
Right.
He wasn't doing anything like that.
Nothing
now.
like that. No, not here. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, they won the tag team titles that night, and that was mostly thanks to Owen.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely thanks, Owen.
Yep.
All right. Next one that we had that took place in the night was Bob Backlund versus Bret Hart in an I Quit match. Special guest referee would be Roddy Piper.
Poor Roddy. He had to deal with this bullshit.
Poor Bret. This is the worst WrestleMania match.
This is Bret's... No, it's not his worst WrestleMania match. It's his worst match.
Oh, you say
Right?
it's his worst match, hands down.
I mean, can you name one that was worse? Maybe his match with Vince at 26, but even that had a lot of bells and whistles, you know what I mean?
yeah, and both guys were like, okay.
Yeah.
This is it. Like, but so yeah, I wouldn't even count that one. So yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, and Bret was like in the prime of his career at the time, too.
Right,
You know,
right, yeah.
at 26, he was like, he'd had his stroke and his
he was
head
done.
thing from Goldberg.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no reason he had no business having a shit match.
Right.
This match sucked.
No, it did.
And I think it might have been a situation where, because it was an I Quit match, right? They were both submission wrestlers. I think it might have been a situation where no one had done an I Quit match before and they didn't know how to do it. Because it was submission. Nothing happened in the match. It was just someone would get out of a submission, the dude would put him right back in it.
Or Bret would even like hit a move, like a side Russian leg sweep or something, and Piper would run up and be like, "Do you give up?" It's like, well, wait a second.
Right.
Why would he give? He just took a move. Like, why would he give up?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I think I did notice at the end, because so Bret tapped Bob Backlund out, right?
Yeah.
This is back. Well, there were no tap outs back then, right?
Correct.
This is before
You had
tap
to-
outs, because
yeah.
I don't think that. I think UFC. I think they picked that up from UFC.
They did. Yeah.
He said, "Do you want to quit?" And you're supposed to say, "I quit," and Backlund said, "Yes."
It didn't even sound like he said yes.
It wasn't,
like
or he,
inaudible.
it wasn't clear.
Or he like mumbled
Yeah.
something, and then
Yeah.
and then Piper asked him again, and he again said yes.
But it didn't sound like yes. It was
Well, it
maybe
was like,
something.
It was very
Yeah.
inaudible.
Right,
Yeah.
but Backlund never did say I quit.
No, he
and
didn't.
I wonder what that was. I wonder if that was Backlund being. Sometimes I wonder if he's a little nutty, like his character is. You know, like I don't know.
Possibly.
So was it he like unclear on how the match worked?
Or somebody was in Piper's ear, like, you know what, just end this shit.
Well,
Like,
no,
this
but I
is
mean,
not going
yeah, but I mean,
anywhere.
like it was like Backlund was refusing to say I quit. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
maybe, yeah,
So like
maybe.
obviously they said that's it. You know.
Yeah, because Bret had him in the chicken wing.
Right.
Which makes sense. He's going to use his finishing move against him. That's a good way to end the match. You would figure he would quit right there. But when Piper was asking him, do you quit? It was very kind of inaudible. Like Adam said, you couldn't really understand what he was saying.
Yeah, so I'm not
it
sure.
It didn't sound like I quit or yes or anything. It was just kind of like noise.
Right, so I'm not sure if he was refusing to say the actual words I quit,
Yeah.
kind of to protect himself.
Yeah, maybe.
But it was kind of a weird. It was it was a weird finish. Kind of the way just I don't know. The whole pay-per-view was ridiculous. But yeah, it was. This might have been the worst match of the show, actually.
I would say so.
Yeah, imagine
Yeah.
Bret Hart having the worst match
The worst
on any
match on
show.
the pay-per-view, yeah.
I mean, Bret Hart could go to like a. If Bret Hart went to Hood Slam next Friday,
Yeah.
he'd have the best match.
He
still.
could wrestle Nurse Ratchet. It would be
He'd still
match
have
of
the best
year.
match.
Yeah.
Right.
He could wrestle Goldberg.
Yeah,
and
but-
it would be match of the year.
Right, but way back then he had the worst match of the entire show.
Yeah, with Backlund.
With Backlund, who was good. It was just a weird, goofy ass match that I think maybe, in a way, like I don't remember the way this show was booked, but I wonder if they even like showed up that day and Vince was like, "Hey, you guys are doing an I Quit match." Like they didn't have time to think it out, or I don't know what.
I think it was booked in advance.
Probably.
But maybe he was like, I'm only going to give you guys like 7 or 8 minutes. Do your thing out there, and I'll just tell Piper when to call it. Who knows?
Right.
Because it wasn't a great match at all.
No.
Like you said, it's Brett's worst match.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah,
Ooh, we have snacks.
Deviled egg.
I'm good. Thank you.
I'll take one.
I don't want to stink him out of this room.
Thank you. No, you've already done 3 tests since you've been here.
Also, when are we doing the thing where we do the shots of Scottish whiskey?
After this.
Scottish whiskey.
Yeah.
We have Scottish whiskey?
I'll talk to you about it later.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, another thing that was weird about this match, or not about the match, but the show, JR interviewed Backlund after the match. Did you notice that JR only interviewed the losers?
You're right, he did. Mm-hmm. He did. Well, technically, Kama wasn't a loser.
Well, okay.
His partner in the ring was a loser.
Losing side.
But yeah, you're right. And then Backlund did this
Interesting.
weird thing where he was like looking up at the lights and like looking at the crowd all wide-eyed. Like,
That was weird.
it was just all strange. Like I didn't know what the hell was going on with Backlund. Like, he's talking to kids in dark rooms in the back, and then he comes out and wrestles a really weird match, and then post-match he gets a really weird interview walking down the aisle. Like, okay, is this guy psychotic? Like, what's...
That's what I'm saying. This is
What's his
around the
shtick?
time he started to seem weird.
Yeah.
But then, like, he still seems weird. And it's like, well...
Like today, 2020, seems weird.
Right. I just actually watched a clip earlier of... well, we'll get to it on another episode. Oh, no, we already did. T at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And Backlund was there with his stupid red suspenders and his
Yeah.
red bow tie. And he looked like kind of out of it.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't... a lot of people were laughing at T. He just looked like he might have like not even known where he was.
Right.
And I mean, I don't... And this was 2006? Whatever year that was?
You're talking about 11? Or
Oh, no, it was
T's
30.
Hall
It
of
would,
Fame?
no, it would have been WrestleMania 30. So
Yeah,
that was
2014. Yeah, it was like 6 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't as long ago as I thought. But Backlund just always has seemed odd since then. Ever since then.
Off. Yeah.
Right. Like he names every president and all that weird
Yeah, and
shit.
if you want an autograph or a picture with him, he makes you give like a state in its capital.
Is that true?
Yeah, I've seen him do it.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's really strange.
kind of cool, actually.
Well, I guess.
I could do... Wait, he gives you a state and you have to name the capital, or you just
something
name...
like that, or he's like, give me a state and a capital, and you have to give him a state and a capital.
Well, that's easy. If you know... I mean, everyone
If-
should know the capital of their state.
Well, I mean, anybody after 5th grade.
Well,
you
I mean,
should.
look, a 4th grader's not asking for Bob Backlund's autograph.
Probably not.
Right.
Probably not. No, I saw him do it actually at 30, out in front, like in the lobby, like Bob Backlund was just walking around. And somebody wanted his autograph, and he told him, like, he mentioned a state, and he's like, what's the capital of so-and-so? Or something. And they're like, I don't know. He's like, no autograph.
It was this like a child that he was trying to teach?
I don't remember. No, I don't think it was a child. It was just like some dude.
Okay, he's fucking nuts.
No, like legitimately, like to your point. Like,
Okay.
Weird guy.
That's not normal. Like
Yeah.
it's one thing if it's like a 10-year-old and you're like you want him to study, you know, or something
Yeah.
like that. But no, like to say that to a regular adult, that's
Right.
fucking weird. Okay, Bob Backlund's out of his mind.
Yeah. As evidenced by WrestleMania 11.
Yeah. So the other thing after this match was Pam Anderson is still missing.
Still missing. Yes.
Right.
Vance White, still not found.
Right.
Outcomes be the next match for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship between Shawn Michaels and Kevin Nash.
And they came down to the ring with...
Yep. Sean had Jenny McCarthy on his arm.
And Diesel found Pam Anderson.
somehow
somehow.
found.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, you know, it was the first thing I noticed when they brought the two of them to the ring. You still see that iconic Diesel standing in the ring with Pam Anderson with the
Yes.
pyro going off. That's still
Yeah.
one of the WrestleMania highlights. One thing I noticed when they sat them both at ringside, right? And, you know, like in wrestling, you have that whole thing like hide your weaknesses, enhance your strengths.
Yes.
If you're Jenny McCarthy, the way to enhance your strengths is not to sit next to Pam Anderson.
What?
Right? Like, she should have been sat on the other side of the ring by herself. Like, you should never see Pam Anderson and Jenny McCarthy on screen at the same time. because oh my god, what a oh fuck, Pam Anderson was so hot back then,
Dude.
And I thought Jenny McCarthy was hot back then too.
Yeah, and then
right?
you sit them side by side and you're like, wait a second.
Right, Jenny McCarthy. I bought. I don't know if anybody, probably nobody who listens to this knows, except a couple people. I bought Jenny McCarthy had that
The Playboy VHS.
the Playboy VHS. You know the story?
Yep.
I bought it for this dude Sean Jacoby for Christmas, and I gave it to him, and he opened it up. He unwrapped it, and it was totally out of the plastic.
You had watched it
thing.
already.
I had watched it first before I gave it to him.
Excellent.
Yeah, but yeah, you put the two of them together, forget about it. I mean, it's like other level shit.
Do you think they were talking vaccinations when they were sitting next to each other?
Fuck. No, I don't think she got. I mean, she was obviously always stupid, but I don't think she. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I mean, Pam Anderson's probably fucking stupid too. I don't know.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
We're guessing here, folks.
Right. But so they were in their corners, and this is exactly what you alluded to earlier. You expected this to be the match of the night.
You thought so. On paper, this should have been the match of the night.
And it was good, but it wasn't great.
No.
My kind of after watching it, well, kind of early on in the match, it was kind of cool. Sean like beat up a photographer.
Yes.
Right? He went over the top rope and landed on the guy, and like landing on the guy apparently wasn't enough. He had to grab him by his collar and toss him up the aisle.
Yep.
Right? He like roughed the dude up, and I was like, oh god, like.
It had to feel like inevitable that somebody was going to lash out on one of those thousands of photographers
With
down there.
as much paparazzi as was out
And
there.
it was
Yeah.
and it was inevitable that it was gonna be Sean.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
cockiness of Shawn Michaels going into that, I could definitely see that happening. Yeah.
Did you notice that Diesel had dice on his pants?
Did he?
Yeah. Do you think that was a Vinny Vegas reference?
It very well could
I don't
have
know
been.
why you would ever want to like reference that.
Yeah, I have no idea why he'd reference
Yeah, it
that.
was weird.
Especially at WrestleMania. Like, that's way back there. Why
Right.
would you reference that?
Yeah, and I
dumbass
watched.
character?
I was watching it once. I noticed it. I was watching it really closely because I was like, "Is that something else?" And I think I paused it a couple times. It was definitely dice.
Like, if it was in Atlantic City or something, okay, that makes sense. Like, you incorporate that into your gear. But, dude, to, like, reference Vinny Vegas? That is weird.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So the match was.
It was okay.
It was okay. There was one spot where Sean hit Diesel with a super kick, and Diesel kicked out on like 2, like not like 2.5,
Yeah.
not like 2 3/4, 2, like a hard, and like shot Sean off of him almost.
Yeah.
And the crowd totally turned on him when that happened. And I don't remember if I noticed that at the time, but I read Sean's book, and he said that Vince told him to do that, and they told him that the crowd was going to turn on him.
Oh,
And then they did it, and the crowd turned on him. So they were totally right.
interesting.
Yeah, and I think that was sort of,
That was the beginning of Sean's face turn, maybe.
I think so, because by the next year he was
No, but, like, the next night,
well, what happened the next night? I don't remember.
Sean challenged Diesel to a match, told Sid he wasn't necessary. Sid beat the shit out of Sean.
That's
Boom.
right. That's
Sean's
right.
instant face.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot that Sid was even out there with him.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot because I watched this a few weeks ago and I'm a little drunk. In my notes, I have Sid has a knife. Did Sid have a knife? Did he cut something?
Maybe we were talking about Arn and Sid going after each other with scissors.
No, because it doesn't. I don't know. If anyone watches this, look out for Sid having a knife.
Were you?
Oh no! Sid cut the turnbuckle off. He cut off the top turnbuckle. I think.
Oh, he did?
I think so because there was a spot where the turnbuckle was off, and I think Sid cut it off.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. Connecticut's a rough crowd. Maybe he grabbed the knife off of somebody in the crowd.
that's true. Or he brought it to defend himself.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Who knows when Arn Anderson's going to show up?
That's a good point.
Got to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Botched finish. The jackknife.
I was just gonna say that Sean. Oh, I don't know if Sean over-rotated or Diesel over-rotated him.
One of the two.
Knowing
fucked up.
who's good and who's not good, I would say
Yeah.
Diesel over-rotated Sean.
Yes.
Did you notice that, Adam?
Not necessarily. I mean,
He
I
more put him
mean,
on his ass as opposed to his back.
Well, but he hit his feet first, so
Yeah.
he hit him with.
I mean, it was just very distinct that it was hit, but I guess maybe that botch just didn't stand out first time watching.
yeah, he hit him with a power bomb, but Sean rotated too far and kind of came down on his feet / ass. Like it
Yeah.
just was not a
That
good
would
power bomb.
shock his back or shock the body.
Yeah, or at least
that makes sense.
mess up his tailbone or something, so he at least couldn't walk the next day. But
Yeah,
the
but it was-
botched finish.
It was a mess.
Yeah.
And the Diesel won, and then for some reason, Jenny McCarthy was happy about that.
Yeah, suddenly got into the ring like Diesel was her favorite
All of
person.
them
and-
celebrated with Diesel, even
Yeah,
though it
JTT
didn't although they didn't accompany him to the ring. Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of odd.
Like, part of that, they needed the celebrity star power to help carry this Rumble.
Which actually, right off at the front of WrestleMania, they kind of did a highlight package of all the celebrities that have done WrestleManias over the years. So you could tell which direction they were going. They really wanted to push the celebrity aspect of WrestleMania, especially given that an NFL guy in the main event.
Right. Exactly.
Speaking of, said NFL guy was Lawrence Taylor taking on Bam Bam Bigelow. And each of them had a loaded posse to accompany them to the ring, which it was really unstable before the match. And it, again, just to deal with the paparazzi crowd that was down there, the entire match was, I mean, it had the entertaining underdog aspect that I thought, and then just way too much distraction outside the ring. So again, same thing, hard to follow throughout, but it was a match that was what it was.
Yeah, it was like you said. So at this point, you have about 65 people on the outside of the ring with the photographers and with both of their crews.
NFL guys, DiBiase's crew. Yeah,
right. So you got Patterson as referee.
Yes,
right,
which was brilliant, by the way. Smart move by WWE.
Same as it won when T was in the main event.
Yes.
Yeah, it made perfect sense.
Yeah.
Like and it's one of those things where back in the day, you didn't even know any difference. You probably didn't even notice the referee.
Right.
But like later on, knowing kind of how things worked, you're like, oh, right, Patterson was there to carry him through the match.
Sense. Yeah.
Vince was the ring announcer. Right.
Yeah.
I think Nick Turturro was like the semi-ring announcer. Right.
He announced the HBK and.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, you had him as the announcer for that.
Him and JTT were down there for that match.
So,
they joined him in the ring.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I'm thinking of the previous match because you had Nick Turturro as the ring announcer.
Yeah.
You had Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
The special guest ring or the clock keeper. Or whatever
he was the you had
timekeeper.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor Thomas the timekeeper. You had Bob Backlund as the Catholic priest.
Yes.
And in this match, you had Vince McMahon as the ring announcer, which was kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he'd been in an actual WrestleMania ring since the beginning of 3.
Right.
The match itself was fine. Did you notice on the network they cut off Salt and Peppa song?
Yes, they did. You're right.
Yeah, because I was like,
you're right.
Bam Bam came out and charged him, and I was like, wait, when did they do the song? I was like, I swear they did it when LT came to the ring, and I was like,
is that a rights thing?
It had to be. Yeah, because I thought they did the song when LT came to the ring, and then after Bam Bam charged him, I was like, oh, maybe it's after he wins the match.
Yeah, because you can see when the NFL guys are coming out, they actually show them coming out, and Salt and Peppa is standing there.
Right. But they totally, they took the match out on the network.
Right.
It was. I mean, I guess the match was fine. I mean, by today's standards, it would be garbage.
Yes,
it would be like
crapped on.
Oh, dude, if it was like the second match on a house show in, I don't know, Kansas, someplace, in a high school gym, people would talk shit about it.
Right.
Right. But for the time and for what it was fun. It was probably better than it even should have been. I'm sure that Patterson and Bam Bam put a lot of work into it.
In making LT look good.
Making LT look good.
Yes.
Making the match not be a complete disaster.
Which it wasn't.
Some of his moves were actually pretty well executed. I was kind of impressed.
Right, the power bomb was fucked up, but I mean, it was Bigelow too.
For a first timer learning how like the step by step process of like how to properly grapple and then execute the move. For a first time at this stage, LT did well.
Yeah, I mean, look, none of us could go in there and have that good of a first match.
No way.
Especially on that stage.
No way.
He definitely had the athletic ability to do so. I mean, he's just off of his...
Exactly.
Just off of the end of his career.
Right, I mean, he was a world-class athlete.
Oh, yeah.
He really was.
So, yeah, he carried the match really well. We joke a lot about it being like the shittiest main event of all time, or WrestleMania main event of all time. And it still might be. But it was better than you probably would expect it to be. It was okay. I mean, LT held up his end of the thing. He did a lot of flying burritos.
Yes, he did.
But, with the football thing, it made sense.
Yeah, I felt bad for Bigelow in that spot because you knew LT was going over. As soon as you saw what that match was, you're like, well, of course LT is going to go over. There's no way they're going to have a New York Giant lose that match.
Well, you know what? When I was a kid, so I would have been like a sophomore in high school, I was convinced Bam Bam was going to win.
Really?
I was like, they're not bringing a football guy in to lose the match. Not even thinking about the Giants, not even thinking about Connecticut, none of that. Not even just really, I was young enough to where I didn't really get it. You know what I mean? Like, I knew what was going on in the ring, but I didn't really get, like, oh, obviously the celebrity has to win.
Yeah.
And I bet this dude I went to high school with, I forget what he had to do if he lost, but what I had to do is I had to wear a fucking clown wig and makeup and this long ass, it was like a 4-foot long tie with like frogs on it. I had to wear it at the school for a week.
A week.
A week.
Dang.
And I showed up Monday wearing that. And none of my teachers said anything about it until like 4th or 5th period. And my geometry teacher walks up to me and goes, "So what bet did you lose?" And I was like, "You could tell, huh?" So, yep. So that was me being, you know, however old I was at the time and just not really quite getting it. But yeah, looking back on it now, I mean, if that match happened now, you'd be like you knew Floyd was going to beat up Big Show.
And Akabono.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, it was. I mean, even watching it now, I was entertained. You know, it was the second best match of the show after Jarrett and Razor.
Yeah, it was, as you guys said, better than what you expected it to be. LT definitely held up his end of the bar. I just felt bad for Bam Bam in that spot.
Yeah.
It would be the equivalent of like some WWE guys going and playing in the Super Bowl and actually beating the NFL team. You know that's never going to happen, but for some reason they bring in these celebrities who suddenly can beat WWE guys that have been doing this their entire career.
Exactly.
That was kind of the issue that not only back then, but still today I kind of have an issue with. You know, you're putting your guys under to these stars that you want to bring in. And I think it kind of sucks. And I really felt for Bam Bam in that role.
Yeah.
And I was hoping there would be some sort of payoff for him. Not unlike that whole Lana, Rusev, Liv, Lashley bullcrap that's going on right now. I'm hoping that there's some sort of payoff for Rusev in this. Much like I hope that there would be a payoff for Bam Bam back in the day. Unfortunately, nope. No payoff. He had a face turn shortly after this, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
There wasn't even a title to show for it. So essentially, he jobbed out to LT in the main event of a WrestleMania. And if you ask me, it's probably Bam Bam's most memorable match.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sucks because he had way better stuff, but this was his most high-profile match, and it was against an NFL guy.
Right. I mean, even when it's WrestleMania 11, it doesn't get more high profile than WrestleMania.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. I just felt bad for Bam Bam in that spot.
Yeah. So when the match ended, it was really odd, and I don't know if this has happened in any other. I'm sure it must have happened in other pay-per-views back then. I don't know if it happened in any other WrestleManias, but the match ended. They faded to black, and that was it.
That was it.
No highlight, no picture, the still pictures with the music, nothing.
Nope.
It just went off the air.
Boom.
They were like, it was almost like Vince was like, "Fuck this, let's go home."
Yeah.
You know, like I think Vince was ready. Vince was ready to go get a fucking 8-ball and hit the bar or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like guys, get your shit together, and we're gonna just look forward to 12.
Yeah.
This was a shit show.
Right. Yeah.
Just
it was
bad. Really bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was just overall bad. You got, yeah, exactly. You got the best match of the match goes on. The best match of the night goes on second. You have Bret's worst match.
Yep.
You have Shawn's worst match, which actually I don't know if I mentioned it, was probably also Diesel's best match.
Right.
And then the main event was
no, it's not Diesel's best match.
Okay.
Diesel's best match was against Bret Hart for the world title Survivor Series.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
That was Diesel's
fair.
best
Okay.
match. This was probably his second best match.
Yeah. Right. Which was Shawn's worst match.
Worst WrestleMania match.
So
yes.
yeah. So that's the difference in quality of matches between those guys.
Exactly.
But,
yeah. And overall, just a super disappointing WrestleMania. And
Yeah.
I've always said 15 was the worst. Now that I've gone back, and I actually watched WrestleMania 11 twice for this.
Oh God.
I know, and I'll never get that 6 hours of my life back, unfortunately, and I'm never going to watch it again.
I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. I always do my thing where once the road to WrestleMania kicks off, I watch as many WrestleManias as I can between the Rumble and that year's WrestleMania.
Right.
I've definitely watched it since the network because when I went into it, it picked up where it left off, but it had to be like several years ago.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure at some point I'll watch it again, but it's not going to be for a long fucking time.
I have no interest in ever picking this one.
Yeah, and basically I think the takeaway from this is the Twitter followers are right when they voted on the poll that
100%.
50-something% of them out of 3 WrestleManias, 50-something% of them said this was the worst one.
Nailed it.
Totally right. Yeah.
That is pretty much why we love to hear from all of you, whether it's on Twitter, leaving us a review on any of the platforms where you download this. Do you like how that segue worked out?
That was good. That was good.
Right.
I liked it.
Well done.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah. Still, this is why we love hearing from you. I mean, you influence this episode. This is all thanks to you. So toast to all of you who are listening to us, except if you're at work and we don't want you to get fired. So toast to your
I
bottled
don't care
water.
if they get fired.
Just don't stop listening.
Yeah.
How else are they going to pay for their Wi-Fi so that they can't download and all that stuff? All right. Yeah, but otherwise, we always want to hear from you, no matter what platform it is, whether it's on Twitter or anywhere you're downloading this. We definitely want to hear from you, so please continue to do that. Again, on Twitter, we are at wrestling_drunk. On multiple platforms where you download this. Again, those ratings, those reviews. Just want to thank you for listening to us. We're going to see if we can get some drink refills and pop another one of these out. But in the meantime, with Eddie and Scott, I'm Adam. I want all of you to enjoy your buzz. Please watch wrestling responsibly, especially trying to swerve around this particular shit show of WrestleMania 11. Watch this one responsibly. Or if you had to watch it as part of a dare, good luck to you. And then also drink like nobody's watching this WrestleMania. But I hope all of you enjoy the rest of your time. Enjoy your wrestling adventures. 1, 2, 3. This episode's out.
Cheers.
Oops. Wrong outro music.
You fucked up.
Precursor on this.
This one girl who really liked wrestling. Yo, we should body slam, she would always text me. She says she likes it hardcore. Baseball bats and barbed wire, thumbtacks that are on fire. Yo, I think something ain't right. She threw me through a table last night. She don't know it ain't real life. But you should see her home movies. They're pretty tight. I'm in awe and it's awesome. She's like dope, it's a problem. Yeah, she a funny hoe. She's always laughing. Flashing. I was like, girl, you so stone cold. You Steve Austin, steel cage match in Madison Square Garden. Ding ding, we're just getting started. Let's get ready to rumble. I can take some bumps, man, I can take some tumbles, but she thinks that every night is like a fucking Royal Rumble. When I start to get a little scared when she grabs her steel chair like she's on the top rope, girl, how'd you get there? Yo, I think something ain't right. Gave me the people's double last night. Bang. She don't know it ain't real life. Yeah, that was pretty messed up. I wouldn't let her do that again. I'm in awe and it's awesome. She's like dope, it's a problem. Yeah, she a funny hoe. She's always laughing. And a middle finger always flashing. I was like, girl, you so stone cold. You Steve Austin, steel cage match in Madison Square Garden. Ding ding, we're just getting started. Let's get ready to rumble. Shorty. Be down if you called your friend. We could have a little bout for the tag team championship. An Irish whip to the ropes. I'm bouncing back with a clothesline. Think the belt's mine. Then you drops the leg drop. The Brooke Hogan. Her finishing move and a slogan. I'm knocked up. I'm Seth Rogen. What? Man, what you been smoking? I'm in awe and it's awesome. She's like dope, it's a problem. Yeah, she a funny hoe. She's always laughing. Flashing. I was like, girl, you so stone cold. You Steve Austin, steel cage match in Madison Square Garden. Ding ding, we're just getting started. Let's get ready.